All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another Power Up series. This one is Electrosmog. So I'm going to let Lisa take it away. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. I hope my voice can last for an hour, but I do have a lot to talk about. So let me bring up my presentation real quick. I have to slide this over to my side screen real quick. And okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Or wait, you don't see the presentation yet. Hold on one sec. I'm going to stop my screen share. That's not the right one. Okay, there we go. Can you guys see it? The
Yes.
devil horns, electromagnetic evil, because that's literally what it is. Okay, hold on one second here. Okay, guys. Let me make this. Oh, hold on a sec. Sorry. Usually don't have this problem. Oh, there we go. Is that better? Is that bigger for you guys? Can you see it now? Okay. Okay, so today's presentation is entitled Electromagnetic Evil. It's all about electrosmog, or the invisible frequencies in our environment that most of us don't even pay attention to. There's a connection between technology and health. The electrical magnetic fields, or EMFs, created by electronic gadgets are practically inescapable now. EMFs are invisible forces of energy associated with the use of electrical power. We're swimming in a soup of electrical magnetic radiation created by our technology. This soup is referred to as electrosmog. Swimming in this electrosmog will upset the natural electrical balance of the body, causing illness. Exposure to electrosmog causes an overload of free radicals in the body. These free radicals attack the mitochondria of the cells and actually break your DNA. Now, some sources of electrosmog are cell phones, iPads or tablets, cordless phones, baby monitors, GPS units, cell phone towers, antennas, Bluetooth devices, alarm clocks, microwaves and other appliances, Wi-Fi routers, smart meters, smart TVs, and the list grows longer and longer every day. Exposure to the EMF radiation emitted from these devices on a daily basis can cause the following symptoms: burning or warming sensations in the face, similar to a sunburn, tingling or prickling sensations across the body and face, swelling in the mucous membranes around the nose, ears, throat, and sinuses without any obvious infection. And I'm sure some of you know, I've been sick for almost the whole month of December, and I very rarely get sick, but I really feel it's associated with the frequencies in our environment. And just reading some of these symptoms now, the cough, the mucus that just will not leave. I mean, it shows you a lot of people are dealing with it right now. Other symptoms are feelings of impending cold or flu symptoms that never quite arrive. Pains throughout the teeth and jaw, pains and aches throughout joints and muscles, extreme dryness in the skin and mucous membranes. This might include dry eyes, throat, and mouth. Issues with memory loss, concentration problems, and dizziness, palpitations in the heart or chest, nausea and headaches, chronic fatigue, cancer, diabetes, infertility, ADHD, miscarriages, insomnia, autism, and visual disruptions as well. Those who suffer with symptoms associated with exposure to EMFs are experiencing what's called electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity is also referred to as rapid aging syndrome because people associate aging or a stressful lifestyle with EMF exposure. But you can tell the difference between the two because aging symptoms will be constant, whereas electromagnetic hypersensitivity will get better or worse depending on your environment. So we're going to cover some of the devices that give off the strongest radiation and cause the most harm. And I'm sure you all probably know what the first one is. It would be cell phones. So cell phones are actually the tobacco of the 21st century. Without my cell phone, I wouldn't know what time it is. I wouldn't be able to solve a math problem. I wouldn't know a single phone number. I wouldn't know the date. I wouldn't be able to text my friend when I'm at her house. I wouldn't be able to take a picture at the exact picture perfect time. I wouldn't be able to wake up from an alarm in the morning. I wouldn't be able to track my kids' whereabouts, and I wouldn't be able to find my way in the dark. And, that's kind of put up there to be a little funny, but it's true. We're all addicted to them. Frivolous use of this technology is wreaking havoc on our society. Just like asbestos, once deemed harmful, it will take decades for society to become aware of the irreversible harm it has created. So if you're not aware of, once they deemed asbestos harmful, it still took them about 10 years to finally let it sink in throughout the world and eliminate it from our lives. Using your cell phone a half hour per day, just a half hour per day, increases your risk of a brain tumor by 40%. So the first study of cell phones, which showed the harm they produced, was in the year 2000. Now, 24 years later, we're just becoming aware of the dangers. Studies on cell phone use have provided the following information. With moderate to heavy use of a cell phone for 10 years or longer, there's a 90% increase in brain tumors, a 60% increase in auditory tumors, and a 320% increase in eye tumors. These tumors are found on the side of the head the phone is used most often. And for those who started using cell phones under the age of 20 years old, it's a 500% increase in brain tumors. Children's skulls are thinner, which allows the electrical magnetic radiation to penetrate deeper into the head. Tumors in children caused by cell phone use will be found deep within the midbrain, whereas adult tumors will be found closer to the outside of the head because of less penetration. Now, if you browse a local store, you'll notice the term DECT, D-E-C-T, on the top product labels. DECT stands for Digital Enhanced Cordless Telecommunication, and most modern devices use this technology now. DECT products continuously emit microwave radiation at full power as long as the base station is plugged into an electrical outlet. That means radiation is emitted 24 hours a day, whether the phone is being used or sitting in its cradle. For this reason, cordless DECT phones are even more harmful than cell phones because cell phones only emit radiation when they're in use. A study done on DECT phone exposure while the participant was lying down showed a spike in heartbeat. The resting heart rate of the participant was 68 beats per minute. And when exposed to the DECT phone, the heart rate shot up to 122 beats per minute, causing symptoms like anxiety, heart flutter, and feeling like you're going to have a heart attack. These are all warning signs that you need to remove yourself from your current environment. To determine if your cordless phone is a DECT phone without professional equipment, you can do the following. Now, most of them at this point are DECT phones, but there's a way that you can do it with a radio. And some people don't even have an AM radio anymore, but just let me go through it. So you take a portable radio, turn it to an AM station at the low end of the AM scale, and then you turn it slightly off so you can hear static. And then you bring the radio close to the base of the cordless phone. Now, if it is a DECT phone, then you will hear more static develop the closer that you get to the DECT phone. Or you can also purchase an EMF field detector. I actually have one I use. It's called the Acousticom. Put it over this way. And I'll show you guys at the end how it works. Remind me to go over that if I forget. Okay, now baby monitors can also be a type of DECT phone. Parents who use this device thinking they're protecting their baby from harm are actually causing unintentional harm by radiating the baby while it sleeps. Isn't that horrible? Like, why are we not educated on these things? Why are we not taught these things? It just saddens me. So some mobile phone recommendations would be for safe usage. Minimize the usage, of course. Maximize the distance from your head when in use. So it's better to text message, or if you're going to call somebody, use it on speakerphone, but no Bluetooth. Change the side of the head that you use it on. Don't keep it in your pocket. It actually affects, like I said earlier, fertility. And a lot of people are becoming infertile just because of putting their phone in their pocket. Or, you know, some girls like to put their phone in their bra and it's causing breast cancer. Don't keep it under your pillow. Don't use it as an alarm clock. Don't use it inside planes, trains, buses, cars, tunnels, metal roofs. Anything that shields you from the antenna forces the phone to work harder to find the signal. So you're exposed to much higher radiation. And really, when you're up in a plane, even if you don't use your phone, everybody else in there is. So you're still getting bombarded with those frequencies. And you know, like I said, I think my sickness is caused by these frequencies, and things happen for a reason. I was supposed to go on a trip to India the end of December, and I couldn't imagine being stuck on a plane with all those frequencies. The one flight alone was 15 hours, I believe. So it would have been, I'm sure I would have been in way worse shape than I am. Now, you don't want to use don't use your phone while roaming because it's hard to find a signal. When reception is good, the phone reduces power and radiation. But if reception is poor, the phone uses maximum power and radiation. So what you can do is use it outdoors. If it's in roaming, discourage the use by children and pregnant women. Convert home phones to landlines, which is another benefit. And then get rid of your DECT phones and your DECT baby monitors. Okay, Wi-Fi makes your life easier, right? But that convenience comes at a price, and we need to start realizing that. Wireless routers, laptops, smart TVs, Bluetooth devices, Apple Watches, Fitbits, video game systems, and other wireless devices all give off electrical magnetic radiation. This microwave radiation is exactly the same kind of radiation that microwave ovens use to cook food. And most people are exposed to this electrical magnetic radiation 24/7 because their routers are not turned off at night. You aren't only exposed to EMFs from your own router, though. Did you ever search for a wireless signal and pick up your neighbor's signal and the restaurant across the street? They all emit EMFs. The distance the Wi-Fi router's signal travels is dependent on the strength of the router as well. It's hard to get away from the EMFs or from the effects of Wi-Fi and their EMFs. And we had a live stream yesterday on the Pyramid Science Foundation with Matt Roski, and he mentioned that they're testing a lot of different frequencies, especially the Starlink satellites right now as well. So we have Starlink. That could be another, issue for how I got sick. Even if you disconnect your own router, you're exposed to Wi-Fi at work, in stores, in schools, and in your neighborhood. And there's some examples of the different devices. Okay, curious, you may have heard of this experiment, but curious to understand the effects of Wi-Fi and how they affect living organisms, 5 high school students conducted an experiment. The students used a simple yet revealing experimental design in which they took 400 cress seeds and placed them in 12 trays. Then they placed 6 trays in 2 separate rooms at the same temperature. They gave them the same amount of water and sun. However, 6 of the trays were put next to 2 Wi-Fi routers. Such routers broadcast the same type of radiation as a mobile phone. After 12 days, the results were clear. Cress seeds next to the router did not grow, and some of them were even mutated and dead. Scientists used to feel that Wi-Fi was safe because there's no thermal heating effect to the body, but the issue is not about the heating effect. The World Health Organization has even classified Wi-Fi radiation exposures as a possible Class B carcinogen. And recently, France banned the iPhone 12 because of the extensive radiation that it emitted. So it's nice that people are becoming aware of it, but it's sad that it's taken so long for us to become aware, because if it's doing this to seeds, causing them to not even grow, how are we supposed to heal our body when we're constantly living in these frequencies? That's part of the big problem. Luckily, there are some methods to safeguard ourselves from the dangers of Wi-Fi radiation. So you want to avoid placing a wireless router in or near your bedroom. Use an Ethernet cable to hardwire your internet. That's what I do. Disconnect all Wi-Fi gadgets before going to sleep. And you can also purchase a Wi-Fi shield to decrease the signal, the reach of the signal across your home. So these consist of like silver fabrics, like a mesh screen or a mesh bag that you would put right over top of your, I have a mesh bag made of silver fabric, and you can put that right over top of your Wi-Fi router, or you can just turn your Wi-Fi router off, or there's also a mesh screen that you can put on one side of your Wi-Fi router. Or in this diagram, it shows you some different fabrics that they place on their walls. Whereas the router on the right-hand side, there could be a bed on the other side in this white area that could protect them from the signals. Now, this picture is a laptop shield. That's what this little square thing is at the bottom, this pad. So you want to keep your laptop away from your body, and you want to purchase something like a radiation shield for your laptop to block the EMFs. Now, all appliances working on electricity produce a toxic electrical magnetic field. Yeah, I feel anytime I go to use we still have a microwave, sadly, but if I do go to use it, I feel like I should have a hazmat suit on. The recommended safety levels of EMFs range from 0.5 milligauss to 2.5 milligauss. You can see on this chart that typical appliances you use daily far exceed these safety guidelines. Microwave ovens and vacuum cleaners. A vacuum cleaner, goodness, is the highest ranking. The FDA sets strict limits for the manufacturers of these products, but as appliances age, seals are broken, and then the leaking begins. And that's bad news because microwave energy inside of a microwave is massive at 2.45 billion hertz. Now, I used to work for an elderly man, and he had an immaculate microwave. It was one of the most powerful ones I ever saw. And it was right after I had purchased my Acusticom EMF reader, and I wanted to test it out. I went up he had a Victorian home. So, of course, the ceilings were a lot taller than an average home. And this meter could detect his microwave when it was running all the way up on the second floor of his home. It's crazy. The frequency shown to cause harm to the human body is anything over 10 hertz. So look at the chart again, and you can see what's going to cause harm. Microwave ovens function by using AC current, which forces atoms to reverse polarity at a very high rate. Now, this creates such violent friction that the water inside the food molecules begins to vibrate and heat up. So microwaves actually break chemical and molecular bonds and can literally rip atoms apart. The Swiss scientist Hans Hertel was the first to study microwave dangers. His study focused on how microwave cooking degrades and depletes food of nutrients. He found that when microwave radiation destroys and deforms food molecules, that new harmful compounds form. These dangerous compounds harm the body in many ways. Research from one of his studies found when people consumed microwave vegetables, the following effects occurred. Cholesterol levels increased rapidly. Hemoglobin decreased significantly, creating anemia. White blood cells decreased, and stress increased. So anxiety, things like that as well. Microwaving reduces and reverses the potential benefits of food. Tissues directly exposed to microwaves are subject to the same deformities as food molecules. This exposure may cause you to experience microwave sickness. Robert O. Becker, author of The Body Electric, stated the following about microwave sickness in his book. Its first signs are low blood pressure and slow pulse. The latter and most common manifestations are chronic excitation of the sympathetic nervous system or stress syndrome, and as well as high blood pressure. This phase often also includes headache, dizziness, eye pain, sleeplessness, irritability, anxiety, stomach pain, nervous tension, inability to concentrate, hair loss, plus an increased incidence of appendicitis, cataracts, reproductive problems, and cancer. The chronic symptoms are eventually succeeded by a crisis of adrenal exhaustion and heart disease. Microwave oven dangers are real, and here are some safety tips. Excuse me. If you don't currently own a microwave oven, don't buy one. Buy a steamer or a toaster oven or a countertop convection oven instead. If you do own a microwave, try not to use it as much as possible. If you're not ready to go this far, keep at least 1 meter away from the oven when it's working. If you have children, pregnant women, or persons with low immunity in your home, don't allow them to come into the cooking area or even the adjoining rooms when the microwave is in use. If you use a microwave oven, not only are you diminishing the nutritional value of your food, but you're exposing yourself to harmful EMFs. And do yourself a favor and remove them from your home. Now, if you're going to keep your microwave and you are going to use it on occasion, I would recommend getting a tensor ring, and I'll show you one at the end of the presentation here. I get mine from Twisted Sage, and you can tape one right onto the front door, and it's going to help transmute those negative energies that are coming out, those harmful electrical magnetic frequencies. But it's still diminishing the nutrition value of your food, so keep that in mind as well. And how many people use them to warm up their baby's milk? You know? Okay, so we covered some of the main sources of harmful electrical magnetic radiation, but there's still many more. Things like GPS units, cell phone towers, 5G towers, antennas, smart meters, they all emit harmful electrical magnetic radiation. The topics of smart meters and 5G alone are very extensive, and I can go into totally different presentations on both of those at a later date. We talked about some recommendations to limit your exposure to EMFs, but here are some more ways that you can protect yourself. You want to, instead of Wi-Fi, you want to wire your internet, hardwire your internet with an Ethernet cable. Turn off your Wi-Fi except when it's in use. Don't place Wi-Fi routers in or near bedrooms or areas where you spend most of your time, like a desk. Purchase shielding material to reduce exposure. There's canopies that you can buy for your bed. The bedroom is actually the #1 room that you want to clean up. Do not place your laptop on your lap. Use a frequency shield for it if you can. Put your phone on airplane mode with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth off when not in use. Use a tensor ring tab from Twisted Sage, like I had mentioned. It actually transmutes the negative energies into beneficial energies. So when you hold onto the phone that has the tensor ring on it, you'll be blasted with beneficial energy, which enhances your energy even more than if you would be with no phone at all. And Twisted Sage, Brian Besco, he actually has a video proving this with his study on his website. Another thing you can do is use orgonite. Of course, my dogs are barking, sorry. Hold on one sec. Okay, sorry about that. Another thing you can do is use orgonite for protection. I'll show you some examples when we get done here in a minute. And now orgonite actually is a combination of resin and metals are what make it orgonite. So the resin would be, even though it's a chemical, it's still considered organic because it's carbon based. So you'd have the organic and the inorganic being the metal, and you put those in layers. And so one creates a pushing effect, one creates a pulling effect of the energy. And so when you pile them on top of each other like that, it creates a pushing and pulling effect, like a scrubbing effect of the energy. And when it's transmuted out the orgone at the top of the orgonite, it's clean, beneficial energy. And that's based on the work of Wilhelm Reich. And anything proves true to me when you look at the story where it came from, because Wilhelm Reich, when he moved to the United States with his orgone generator, he was doing public displays of healing for thousands of people for free. And he was hoping to live the American dream, and it turned into a nightmare for him. He was arrested for fraud, thrown into jail. His work was stolen. His books were all burnt, and he conveniently died 2 weeks before his release. So that actually kind of launched me into making my own orgonite products. So I do have some orgonite pyramids, and I'll show you one of those when we're done here too. And then we talked about grounding. Grounding or connecting to the earth, placing your feet on the bare earth. It floods your body with negative ions, which reduce pain and inflammation. And grounding discharges all those pent up energies, those pent up EMFs that we're building up every day, and it recharges your body. There's also pulsed electrical magnetic therapy, which is also known as PEMF therapy. Not all EMF frequencies are the same. Aging actually starts at the cell level, and healing starts at the cell level as well. And you can find a lot of these devices at many of the chiropractor offices now. A couple more recommendations is to build your immune system. Iodine is the most important supplement to protect against damaging radiation, and it helps repair damage after exposure. I use nascent iodine. I buy it from Global Healing Center, but nascent iodine is found deep within the earth, and so it's pollution free, whereas most of the like kelp is high in iodine, but you're going to get the pollution from the ocean, and you know how it goes. And last but not least, detoxify your body. We need to do whatever we can to regain our power back. That's what the Power Up series is all about. And it might seem a little bit scary learning about all these things, but how are we going to take care of them if we don't figure it out? So my website, if you want more information on anything, or if you want to contact me, my email is lisa@pyramidsurge.com. My website is pyramidsurge.com. I offer different things on there like meditation pyramids, orgone pyramids, jewelry that protects you from EMFs, pendulums, grounding products, colloidal silver generators, tensor rings. And then Matt Roski, I recommend him for the nutritional supplements that are on there as well. And I am working on other transformational tools all the time and adding to my website there. So let me stop my screen share.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Yes, you're welcome. Let me show you this real quick though.
Yeah.
So this is the Acousticom 2. It's the EMF meter that I use. And as soon as I push it, it's gonna go red because I'm around all the electrical magnetic frequencies. The Starlink, even though it's Ethernet cable from the Starlink to my computer, we're still getting a lot of radiation from everything, the whole computer setup. So, but I do have my grounding mat underneath here that is helping me. So this has two different settings. The light's kind of, oh, there we go. The light's kind of blaring on it. So if it's down at the bottom, it's going to be green. Middle is going to be yellow. All the way to the top shows you that it's a harmful frequency. And then there's another one. If you push it one more time, you can hear the sound that it makes. And that's exactly what it would sound like if we could hear what the frequencies around us sound like. So that's just crazy, but this is a good tool to have. Like I said, you know what you're dealing with because we can't see these frequencies. So turn it off. Here is an example of the tensor ring that I was talking about. I actually have a necklace on as well. You can actually use these. I have a bigger one. I couldn't find it though to show you, but Brian on Twisted Sage actually makes big ones that people put over their smart meters as well. So you can use these for a lot of different things. Place one by your electrical box and kind of tone down that energy as well. So, and then we also do electrical magnetic frequency jewelry. So this has a combination. It's mainly organite, but I jazz it up with more things like white powdered gold. There's shungite in it, magnetite, ionized quartz sand, which has additional life force energy as well. And all the descriptions and everything are on my website. And then the only other thing I wanted to show you was what an orgone pyramid looks like. There's a lot of different shapes and sizes. So it would be the ones with the most metal in them are going to be the most powerful. And, we see a lot of these online and they're beautiful. They're beautiful designs, but the ones that are going to function the most properly are going to be the ones with less empty space and more metal. Okay. The most metal, more metal, the better. Now this does have crystals in it to amplify it. They found that if you put a quartz crystal in it specifically, that's going to make the most benefit. And then I bionize the quartz sand as well, which is another work based on Wilhelm Reich. He discovered that if you take a product and you freeze it and boil it several times, it infuses that with life force energy. So I actually do that not only to the quartz sand that I use, Raylan, sorry, but I do it to the metals that I use in my orgonite as well. So they're supercharges them. But I think that's it. I'll open it up to questions if anyone has any questions.
Kurt.
Hi, yes, and thank you, Lisa. That was really good information.
Thank you.
What I noticed though is you have on your first thing is hardwiring, and I totally agree with that. That you're going to get your best speeds for everything that's connected in your network to hardwire it. But also the second thing you said about turning off your Wi-Fi. What I'd like to share is something that I kind of discovered, because I've also gone the Starlink route, and the bandwidth is a step down from what I had at Comcast. So what I've done is I've separated on my my Wi-Fi. So everybody's router at home has a guest, I'm assuming a guest network. What I've done is, because my home is now 20 years old, everything's dying and crapping out. I replaced my washing machine, my refrigerator, and my oven in the last month. They're all 23 years old. Everything came with its own Wi-Fi. Honestly, I'm getting messages from my washing machines. Hey, your laundry sat here for 30 minutes. Move it to the dryer. So as each of you are going to move, and unfortunately you're going to move into the AI world, think about things you can do. Like, if I have everything now on my guest Wi-Fi, so at night I shut my guest Wi-Fi off. I don't have to worry about the surveillance or anything else that's on my main Wi-Fi. But things that are like lights and Amazon switches and things like that, put them on the guest and then turn that off at night, so you don't have all that going on at night around.
That is a great idea. I would never have thought of that. Thank you for sharing. That's what I was upset because we had to get a new stove a couple of years ago, and the only thing they had available were smart stoves. And it came to the point in the winter time where I wanted to take a little bit of the chill off because our stove wasn't keeping up enough, and I couldn't even leave the oven. I couldn't turn the oven on and leave it open because it was so smart. It would tell me the oven door's open and it would turn off, so I'm like, but yeah, that's something scary. The smart TVs, everything is smart anymore. And it's funny that they use those words to steer us away from what's really going on, but thank you for sharing. That's good to know.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Any other questions? I had put into chat when you were talking about the microwaves that that a lot of times, everybody thinks about themselves, but they kind of forget about the animals that live in the house as well. Our dogs and cats are very tuned into energy, and when you're doing those microwaves and all that stuff, it is affecting them even more so, I think, than it does the people.
Yeah, I just saw a video on TikTok, I think it was, where every time the people's dog would come in the house, it couldn't sit down or rest. It was just pacing back and forth and breathing heavy. And they didn't know what was going on. So they called the vet, and the vet said, did you put anything new in the house recently? And they had those, the things you plug into your electrical outlets that are smart. So you can plug your devices into them and make them smart as well. And those were emitting a signal that was irritating that dog so much, because when he was outside, he was fine. But as soon as he'd come in, he'd start pacing back and forth, and they took those out, unplugged them, and he was fine after that.
Yeah. It's amazing. A lot of behavior issues can be, you can look back on, what is the human doing that is affecting the animal? Because it's always human related.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Oh, Angela, you had a question. Did you want to? Yeah.
Oh, you're muted.
No,
I'm sorry.
There you go.
It was just a comment I had to make. When Lisa was talking earlier about the Wi-Fi affecting plants, we installed a Wi-Fi system to do automatic watering outside. So if we were away, the plants would get watered. And it had a Christmas cactus on the windowsill above the Wi-Fi, and it started to die. And I'm like, what is wrong? And then
Oh.
I figured it out. So fortunately, we moved it and it survived.
Mm.
And then at the end of the season, pulled it out, and it bloomed just like normal. So it was like definitely the Wi-Fi had caused it to slowly lose its leaves. It was very sad looking. So I'm very, very specific. This Wi-Fi is just deadly to plants, could be to animals too.
Yeah, we have, you just reminded me where my big tensor ring is. So we have a DirecTV wireless router that's over by my picture window where all my plants are. And I was afraid the same thing would happen with all my plants. So I put that tensor ring right over top of it and they've been fine. So that's something that you could try as well. But my problem is, so I'm going to delve deep into the experiments with plants this summer, definitely mostly with pyramid energy and electroculture in my garden. But my issue is I hate having a control group because I feel bad for them. I want to give them the same stuff, you know? So, especially after it, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Cleve Baxter's work from the 70s. He's the one that did experiments on plants, and he had a couple snake plants side by side, and he had one hooked up to the galvanized skin response, like the lie detector test is what it is. And he discovered that the plant would react to certain things, and he would get a reading on that lie detector test. And it was always when somebody that worked in like the gardening industry would walk into the room, that plant would literally, you couldn't hear anything, of course, but you could see it just all of a sudden it would be going like crazy, like it was screaming. And this plant never saw this person before, you know, but he was reacting to them. So Cleve did a study where he would have about 50 people walk into this room with the plants. And one person was told to, once it got to the plant that was beside the one with the lie detector, this plant wasn't hooked up to the test. The one beside it was, but this person was told to just rip that other plant apart. And as soon as he started doing that, the other plant started screaming, just like screaming. And after that, that plant would recognize that person when he would come in the room again. He would have all the people walk in again and no, he wouldn't react. But as soon as that person walked in the room, that plant would start screaming again. So that's why plants do have consciousness, you know, they do. They are communicating through the ether to each other because they recognize gardeners and people that they have never been in contact with, you know. So, but it's also real cool because they connect to the person that they are grown from, you know, they're the person that takes care of them. If you take care of them consciously and well, they're going to be attached to you as a person. And so they connect to your emotions as well. So, I mean, you could actually, sounds far-fetched, but you could actually use a plant to determine who the murderer is of somebody. Like if somebody broke into my house and murdered me in front of my plants and my plants saw that person again, it would literally if it was hooked up to that galvanized skin test, it would be screaming. Like, it's just crazy. The stuff that, yeah, I'm sure I sound crazy, but
That's wild.
it is.
Amazing.
It is.
Well, they keep saying that we need to get back to nature. We need to connect to nature. We've lost them. A lot of people have lost that, you know, and I heard a thing the other night that, you know, you go to your, you know, you're in bed, you get up in the morning, you leave the house, go right to your car, go right to work. At work, you know, 9 to 5, get in your car, come back home, and you're back in the house making dinner, and then it's bedtime. So most people are not getting that chance to get out in that sun and to get out into nature. And I think they keep drilling it into everybody, get out into nature, get out into nature. And I think this kind of proves that, you know, that we have to reconnect with nature, because we think that a plant is just a plant, but it has life as well, just like a
Yeah.
flower.
Well, another cool thing with his experiments was that he found that if the plant knew your intention and it knew that your intention was for good, it would be submissive to you. So praying over your food before you eat it, the plant is going to become submissive and it's going to release more nutrients to you
Right.
than it would have previously.
Yeah.
So, and I think that goes with animals too. If you raise the animal consciously and you pray over it before it's slaughter, and you're appreciative of it, I feel, the same way. And I also get comfort in knowing I've read this a few different times that if an animal is loved by a human, then it gets to come back as a human. So
I've heard that.
yeah. I told that to somebody, my ex, and we had a lab that had passed away that would carry rocks in its mouth all the time. And he said, well, if we see somebody with rocks in his mouth, we'll know it's him.
It's funny. Any other questions? The quiet crowd tonight.
I'm glad we were able to do this. There was a lot of technical difficulties going on earlier on Rumble and different channels like that. So Tammy was having some issues earlier too. So
It was just the fact that the link, the
Link.
link was not in the Zoom, so I had to go out and recreate a new one. I was like, how am I going to do this tonight if it's not in there?
yeah. And then it gets so stressful. I hate when that happens,
Right.
especially like 5-10 minutes before you're
Well,
going.
right. It was
something
15 minutes before, and I'm like, oh crap, the link's not here.
Yeah. I think it was like our first power up series or something. I was going to I opened with a meditation. I think it was our first one. I opened with like a 5-minute meditation, and Sean made me so mad like 5 minutes before that. And I was like, how? I'm supposed to go do a meditation in 5 minutes. But I was able to do it because I've been meditating for a couple of years now.
That's right. Didn't even know.
Exactly.
Beth, did you have a question?
I came in late, so if you already went over this, Lisa, I apologize. But the ring that you're wearing around your neck and that you held up and showed us, you said there's bigger ones in different sizes. How big a ring do you need to put on your modem and your router to protect us from the EMFs coming off of that?
So that would be a question for Brian Besco, and I believe he has that information on his website. His website's twistedsage.com, but you can find his website on my website as well. So if you go on my website and look, his information's on there as well. But like I said, I have a pretty big modem for DirecTV. It's about this big around, and one of those big ones slides right over top of it. You can also just take the smaller ones. I mean, I'm bigger than that modem, and these ones work fine for me, so I really think that it's really dependent. They create more like a torsion field, and so it's constantly generating and cleansing different energies. So
Thank you.
yeah, he actually has one about the size of this one. That is I don't know, and I don't think there's anything different with it, but he recommends this size to be taped to your electrical box with all your breakers and stuff. So he claims that it cleanses all, because that's the source of where the electricity comes in. So it's transmuting and transforming all the electricity throughout the home if you do that.
So, I've just thought of this when you were talking about that. We have an EMF shield on our fuse box, on our electrical box for the house. But the reason that we bought that was that if there was an EMP,
Oh yeah,
oh, that's what it is. That's a
wouldn't
different.
fry it.
Yeah.
So it's like a Faraday cage.
No, it's just a box that gets hooked into the electric, but I think it's two different things. So it's an EMP shield, not an EMF shield. So it's to
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
supposedly help if you get hit with an EMP. But, you know, we've questioned this for a while. Like if the whole grid goes down, it's not going to really benefit us anyway. You know what I mean? It was kind of like 300 some bucks for this little box. And I'm not entirely sure it's going to do anything. But for some reason, I was thinking EMF. It's an EMF shield, but it's not.
I read that if there was an EMP, the best thing to save anything electrical, you would want to have a Faraday cage and put those items inside of it.
Yep, agree. Yep.
I'd be inside that Faraday cage though.
Well, you can build a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. We got come here.
No,
You gotta say what you gotta say.
the big thing with the EMP shield is to protect us from a lightning strike.
Oh, so Bruce is saying that the biggest thing with the EMP shield is to protect us with from a lightning strike.
Oh yeah, because that could
Yeah.
run everything out. It's like a surge protector kind of thing then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that's interesting. This is bringing me on to something else. So this house actually did get struck by lightning many years ago. The whole house was on fire, the whole roof and stuff. And then they since put those things on top of the roofs of the house and the barns that is supposed to like if lightning hits it, I think it grounds
Weather vane.
it grounds it. Well, it's like these balls with these little spikes on the top of the roof. And I think if the lightning hits it, it's supposed to absorb the electricity of it and then ground it, I think. You know,
Do you have a lot of oak trees around your house?
no, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, usually lightning strikes only where there's geopathic stress. So usually it's where two geopathic stress lines cross, mostly underground water. So it's usually where one underground water would be a lot deeper than the other one crossing over top of it. But that's usually, I think, 100% of the time where lightning strikes, underground water, where they cross.
And we talked about geomagnetic stress in one of the other power-ups too.
Yeah.
Well, I have my dowsing rods. I need to go around and start figuring out where all the geomagnetic stress is.
Yes. It's easy to detect, you just have to focus keep it in mind, what you're looking for, and it'll show you.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Any other questions? No questions? All right.
Well, thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate this. We will be in touch because at this point we need to schedule more if we're going to continue on with this power up series. So, all right, very good. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Yes, and thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Good night,
Your
everybody.
information was valuable.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.